I read in your book where you were saying that the mind is the cause of most illnesses, and that each disease has its own emotional core. Can you explain that a little more?
Everything is so individual to whoever I'm working on and what the issue is. So oftentimes, I would say probably over 90%, it's an emotional issue that is causing the physical or emotional dis-ease that's going on. So when I ask the body what's happening, it might be a trauma. It might be an emotional trauma that happened when someone was very young, and it may not manifest as a disease or an illness or a problem until someone is much older in life, but it takes that long, or maybe there are several triggers that will then cause the physical manifestation. Every case is different.
Okay.
It has this cause. There could be 1,000 different causes
reasons
for headaches.
Sure.
And even when I was studying Oriental medicine, there were a number of ways that we would look at for that, and then we would treat according to that. But when I was an acupuncturist, I got out of that because I found it was still very hit or miss. Sometimes the rules applied and sometimes they didn't. When I started speaking directly to the body and getting the information about what caused it, my treatments I found were much more effective.
Wow.
And that's my point, to be effective.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you talk to the body and how it responds to you, so that you can determine just what the core problem is with the body? Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. I use something called applied kinesiology, or muscle testing. So what someone does is they put their arm out, and with resistance I push down. I talk to the body, often telepathically. I can do it out loud, but a lot of people are afraid that their mind will get in the way and they'll make it say what they think it should say. So oftentimes I'll do it silently, and I'll get a yes response, the arm will weaken, or a no response, and I can feel the lock. So I know I'm not controlling it, because so many times when I think, oh, this must be what's going on, and I ask, not the answer, and then we will get down to the nitty-gritty of what's going on. I really appreciate being wrong, because then I know I'm not making something happen. So when I ask questions, I'll find out, is this a physical issue? Is this an emotional issue? I'll find out the time period when this began. Is this a genetic issue? Is this a soul level issue? So I have a schematic that I ask when I'm working with a person, but then the schematic kind of goes off course depending on where the answers lead me. Also, when I'm working with someone will say, now I don't know if this makes any sense, but I keep getting this thought about, and that's once again the subconscious mind trying to bring forth some information. So I always welcome that. But there is always some underlying cause that threw the body off, because we are made to perpetuate. Restore, exactly. And there is a blueprint for perfect health. Something took that blueprint and made it go wacky. It's like a computer. I look at the body as a computer all the time. There was some sort of virus, and I don't mean like a medical virus, but in the computer you have a virus, a program that is throwing things off. We find out what the program is, we correct that program, and the body can function normally.
Wow. I have a question. In your book, you do like case studies, right?
Yes.
Can you discuss one of your more interesting case studies?
I would love to. Actually, cases.
I think the whole thing is interesting. I'm so overwhelmed here. I really want to say, okay, I read your book and I have a million questions, but we never get through today.
One of my favorite stories in there is a woman who came to me because she had an emotional issue. She had, I don't recall if she had miscarried or she had a child that was stillborn, but she had a little girl that did not survive. Now, when she came to me, it had been 10 years since that had happened, and she had a 7-year-old son that she adored, but she could not get the grief of this little girl that she lost out of her mind. She said every day it was there. Yes. So I said, I think we can get rid of this pain so you can have the memory.
Yes.
And you can honor the memory of her, but without that, what I call emotional charge, the trauma that she would go through day after day just thinking about it.
Did it make her inside sick? I mean, was it?
No, she didn't have any physical manifestation. It was just something that was emotional. And so many people are living with emotional pain on a daily basis. And this is something that I love to work on, because if it's one particular issue, as in this case that happened, I believe that can be cleared in one session. It's very easy to clear. So what I did with her at that time, I was using something called Emotional Freedoms Technique, EFT, and I was doing this tapping protocol as she was thinking about the pain. We were hitting the delete buttons in the body that would release this, because there are meridians, invisible
Can you show us?
channels.
I mean, is it something you could show us today?
Well, there are meridians that go all through the body. There
Okay,
are
what about from here to here?
There's one that goes from the groin all the way up, and there's another one that goes up the back, and they end here and here. When I at least work on people, I have them touch these two areas to connect those. But I muscle test to find out which meridians are being affected. So in this case, I was tapping on these, and part of the protocol that I used at that time was tapping on brain points, which are on the hand, and then have the person, as they're thinking of this pain, hum a song, roll their eyes, count forwards, count backwards. There's a number of things they do. And the songs that I normally have people hum were Happy Birthday, Mary Had a Little Lamb, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And I'm thinking, well, there's no way that I can have her, hum any of those. We're talking about a little baby.
Right.
And that would have been too traumatic for her, even though she was going through this pain. So I asked my invisible helpers, whoever they are, whatever I work with, I do work on some other level. My intuition kicks in a lot with this. I said to that voice, or whatever it was, give me another song. And it said, Inagata Davida. Now, I don't know if you know this
And did
song.
she know that song?
Well, I didn't say it out loud yet.
You thought it.
Well, no, I wasn't even going to have her hum it. Can you imagine? Do you know that song?
No.
Inagata Davida from, I think it's the 60s.
Okay, hum it. Let's see.
I cannot hum this song. It is not a hummable song. But I thought, there's no way I can do that. So I said to the voices, no, give me another song. And it said very clearly, Inagata Davida. Now I got a little upset, because we're getting closer to the place where I need her to hum. So I telepathically, silently said, give me a song I can have her hum. And it said, have her hum her husband's favorite song. And I thought, oh, that I can do. So as I'm getting to that area, I said, what is your husband's favorite song? And she says, oh, it's Inagata Davida.
Okay.
Right, what are the chances of that? I started laughing. Now here she is in this traumatic state of thinking of the death of her little girl. And she sees me laughing. Her eyes are wide. Yes. She's looking at me, and I said, I'm so sorry. I have to tell you what's been going on in my head. She knows, how I am. So I was explaining what was going on, and we both started laughing. And I could energetically feel a shift happen in her body just then and there. We didn't have to continue with the treatment. So laughter is so important. Just that state of mind where she was in stress and in distress, and then the laughter shifted it. And to this day, she told me she doesn't have the grief any longer of losing her little baby.